One question I get asked a lot by artists is how can I sell more of my artwork? For most of us, where this progresses from a hobby into a semi-profession and even doing it full-time professionally, that's always a big question, is how can you sell more of your artwork? Well, there's a really simple answer to that. And if you want to find out what it is, stick around. So how do we sell more of our artwork? That's the $128,000 question, and I get asked it all the time. Now, I said there's a very simple answer to this. There is a really simple answer, but simple and easy are not necessarily the same thing. So before I can talk to you about kind of what you can do to sell more of your work, you need to first understand the difference between a piece of work's price and its value. So you as the artist, you get to determine the price of a piece, however much you decide you want the public to pay you for it, that's in your control. You get to determine the price. But what you don't get to determine is the value. The public or the market gets to decide the value, and the public will decide what they are willing to pay for your work or what it's worth. And when you have a sale is when the value is perceived as being here and the price is either just below or just at the value. If you have your work priced above what the public thinks is the value, then you won't have any sales. So the first thing that's important is to actually get your work out in front of the public so that they can see the work. That's the only way you can judge whether or not your price is in line with the value. So assuming that you are already in that situation where your work is being seen by lots of people, but your sales aren't what you'd like them to be. So the answer of what you can do to improve your sales is very simple. You need to do one of two things. You need to lower your prices, or you need to increase the value of your paintings by painting better paintings. And that's it. And again, I said the answer is very simple. I didn't say it was easy. So you can lower your prices. If you lower them far enough, you will eventually sell more work, unless your work actually has a negative value, which is often the case when people start out. Just because you've created a painting doesn't mean it's worth anything. Again, a negative value where you go to offer it to someone for free and they're like, no, that's all right, you keep it. They wouldn't hang it even if it was for free. And somewhere between that and some high lofty number is where the public values your work. So you can lower your prices to achieve more sales. That's not really a very effective strategy. Unless you're just painting as a hobby and you just want to get rid of them. So the only really effective strategy is to paint better paintings. And that's simple, but it's not easy. And one of the things that you can do to paint better paintings is to improve your skill set. And by doing intentional exercises to improve the skills that you bring to the table each time. So I've talked before about the whole idea of doing a sketchbook. Right? So if drawing is a weakness, then you need to do intentional exercises to improve your drawing ability. What I've done throughout my entire career, once I got serious about art, is you have to be brutally honest with yourself about where your abilities are and where your deficiencies are, and try and identify what is the one thing that if I could improve my ability in that would cause the biggest improvement in my painting. And then you need to focus on that. And then when you've done that and mastered that, then you need to say, well, what's the next thing that I need to focus on to improve the quality of my artwork? Because Until you are creating great work with a unique voice, lack of sales is not a marketing problem. It's an artwork problem. You will see online all kinds of courses available to you about how to sell your work, and it's all salesy talk. It's all salesman type talk. But that does not work with art. The art has to, first of all, reach out and engage the viewer. If your work does not kind of reach out and engage the viewer, I believe there's no amount of marketing or promotion or anything else that is going to increase your sales. It's kind of like the BlackBerry, Research in Motion. They dominated the phone industry for a number of years, and then they fell off. Why? Because their phone just did not keep up with the innovations of the Android and the iPhone. And when Research in Motion, their lack of sales, it was not a promotion problem. It was not a PR problem. It was a phone problem. And until or unless they fix that, which they have not done, they're not going to sell many phones. And it's the same thing with your art. So in the initial stages, I really, really believe that you should not be focusing so much on sales, but focus on improving your skill set, improving your theoretical knowledge, focusing on your creativity by being in process mode, and work towards increasing the quality of your art, which will increase the value of your art. When you do that, when you can eventually produce work that is great, that is great in terms of showing the skill that's involved. It's great in terms of your conceptual knowledge and your composition and your use of color, and it's great in terms of your creativity. You've created a unique style that is recognizable and that is very attractive that people want. Then it becomes a marketing problem or a marketing concern, where the more people you can get your work in front of, not only the more sales you can generate, but the higher your prices will go up. But all of that stuff, I believe, is kind of a waste of time focusing on that until you've reached the point where you're creating really, really strong art that reaches out and engages the viewers. And you will know that when it happens, because they will be very clear about telling you that. For me, when this style that I'm currently working in first kind of started evolving and showing its face, the response was dramatic and it was immediate. And if you're not really experiencing that with whatever you're doing now, if the world's just not that into what you're doing, then you haven't found it. And rather than spending a lot of time trying to market the work that you have or trying to promote it, what you need to be doing, I believe, is spending time in trying to find what is your own unique voice. Because you need to have three things to have a successful art career. You need to find a process that creates work where three things happen. Where first of all, you love the actual process, where you can't wait to get in the studio every day and paint. And then you also have to love the finished painting. You have to be able to create works that you are proud of, that you'll stand up beside in public and say, yes, this is who I am, this is what I do. But then that work also has to strike a chord with the public, or at least enough of the public has to like the work and want to purchase it to drive the prices to a point where you can sustain a decent living. And fortunately, the ability to continue to improve your work is only limited by how hard you're willing to work. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen overnight. And this idea of people having some gift and just sitting down and being able to create these wonderful works, that's a myth. That's a unicorn. To create a level of skill and knowledge and creativity to create great works of art that are unique takes many, many, many hours of practice. And so that is where I believe you should be directing your efforts if you want to increase your sales. So that's all I have to say about that. I hope you found this helpful. If you have, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, you can share with your friends, and I welcome your comments and questions. I'm Tim Packer, and I thank you for your time.